What am I supposed to happen?
All right, we are recording. Welcome everybody. Come on in the room. We're glad you're here for this great seminar. You're about to hear some great information. This is all about maintaining your health in COVID-19. As a matter of fact, how you're going to optimize and bulletproof your immunity during this time. I know it can be a scary time, but I think it's great that you're here tonight because you're going to find it's a positive place to be. We're all about some good news. And we're all about empowering you tonight. My name is Scott Smith. I'm basically the technical director of our webinar tonight. So I'm going to be managing a lot of the chat and the interface, making sure that your questions get answered. Dr. Tracy Sands is going to be leading us, as well as Dr. Kim Sands-Kahn, with some incredible information that's going to be extremely relevant to where we are right now in this COVID crisis. There are ways to optimize your health. There are ways to make sure that you're healthy and that you're protecting yourself to the best of your ability, and even getting a better understanding of what's going on, because I don't believe that the media is really the best source for trying to figure out how to function on a day-to-day basis in light of this crisis. So we're going to make sure that you get all the information that you need tonight. So again, avail yourself of the interfaces here. You have a chat box you can chat into with just by typing. You have a Q&A box if you have a question for the doctors as they present, so you'll be able to ask those questions and we'll get those questions answered. Even though I disappear in a few minutes, I will be here. I'll be monitoring your questions and I'll be monitoring the chat. So by all means, just make the most of that. We're excited about this information tonight. Dr. Sands and Dr. Kim Sands-Kahn, we're glad you are here. Thank you for putting this on for all of us. We look forward to learning a lot tonight. So Dr. Tracy Sands, take it away, sir.
All right, thank you, Scott. Are you seeing everything on my screen so far? I think I might have a little technical difficulty here.
Yeah, go ahead and hit share screen right now.
Okay, I somehow am out of I can see your face, but I can't see anything else.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, now I got you. Now I got you. Okay, here we go. Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem. No problem.
Share screen, and here we go here, and now we got it.
Beautiful. That's perfect.
Are we good to go? Okay, little technical difficulty, but now we're ready to go. All right, so here we go. Well, first of all, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight. It's certainly an honor and a privilege for Dr. Kim and I to be able to speak to you guys. You know, I've been in practice now for 36 years, and as most of you all know me very well, I take my health very seriously, as well as I take the health of my patients very seriously as well. So we're very excited and happy to be able to share with you what I do and what we do every day to keep ourselves in top immune shape so that we can continue to function every day. So first of all, we're going to talk about some things here before we start. I'm having a little problem here, Scott. I cannot advance my slide.
Okay. How about if you hit the left and right arrow key, does that help?
There we go.
There we
go.
go.
Got it. Okay, we're good now. Gotcha. Okay, here we go. Okay, sorry everybody. All right, so first of all, number one, we want everybody to take COVID-19 very seriously at this point. Here in South Florida, you know, we've kind of been almost out of the loop. It was something that was happening somewhere else and not really here in Florida, but it's here now, and we need to take it very seriously. So please, everyone, you know, listen to what's going on and keep yourself informed. And Dr. Kim is shortly going to go over some latest info with us on this, but like I said, please take it serious as we are here at the office now. We're not offering any treatment for COVID-19. There's really nothing we can offer you here at the office for that. If you do have symptoms of COVID-19, Kim's going to break down the symptoms here in just a few minutes. Don't come to the office. Again, there's not much we can do for you here. I think at this point they're telling everyone that unless you have, you know, significant difficulty breathing, they don't want you to go to the hospital. So keep yourself abreast on that. And then lastly, nothing we learned here tonight is going to make you completely invincible from COVID-19. We all like to think we're invincible, especially myself, but we're going to certainly give you some things that are going to protect you. It certainly gives you some things that will minimize the illness should you get it. And we're going to you're going to leave here with in much better shape than before we started. At the very end, I'm going to give you 4 steps you can do right now, starting tonight, to make yourself a lot stronger. So with that all being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kim, who's going to bring us up to date on all the latest information. Take it over, Dr. Kim.
Hi, everybody. Just give me 1 second to share my screen here. Oh, Dr. Sands, you have to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, Dr. Sands, if you don't mind, just hit stop sharing.
Absolutely.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
We got a nice picture of Scott.
All right. All right, everybody. So I'm just going to give you some quick stuff from the CDC here. Basically, these are the 5 facts that the CDC wants us to know about COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So number 1, it is a disease, and a disease can affect anybody regardless of their race or ethnicity, okay? Number 2, they want us to know that the immediate risk of becoming seriously ill from the virus is relatively low, all right? So they are out there trying to make everybody aware of it, but the fact is not everybody is going to be significantly affected by this disease. Older individuals and people with any underlying medical condition obviously are gonna have a higher risk for more morbidity. Fact number 3 is an individual who has already been affected by the disease, has gone through quarantine and has been released from isolation will not pose a threat. So if you know somebody that had COVID-19 a month ago, they are okay to be around. Although we are supposed to be considering social distancing if this is not a direct member of your family that lives with you. Number 4 is, in order to reduce exposure, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds, avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue, okay? And then immediately dispose of the tissue. And then number 5, the symptoms of the virus are fever, cough, and shortness of breath. Over here to the right, I've got a nice little diagram that shows different symptoms compared to other diseases that are colds, flus that we're dealing with currently as well. So for COVID-19, the most common symptoms are fever, shortness of breath, and a cough, okay? As you can see, cold typically don't have a fever. The flu, obviously you have a fever, but with the flu, you have a lot more other things that aren't as common in COVID-19, like fatigue, stuffy nose. You don't typically get those things with the COVID. So if you are having a runny nose, if you're sneezing, again, most likely probably not COVID-19, okay? The other thing, this was just brought out today by the city of Pompano, they are asking us to wear face coverings when going out in public. All right, you do not have to wear a face covering when you're in your home unless you are having symptoms. If you are having symptoms, then yes, please wear a face mask when around others. Other than that, you don't need to wear it in your home. You don't need to wear it when you're alone in your car, when you're alone anywhere else, other than going out in the public, to the grocery store, to be out and around other individuals. Obviously wash your hands, and of course practice social distancing. I'm sure many of us have been to the grocery store and noticed the tape on the ground to keep us 6 feet apart from everybody. And this is just so that if somebody were to cough or sneeze, it keeps us within 6 feet of that spray from getting onto us, okay, or from us to breathe it in. So some of the latest stats currently in the state of Florida, and this might have changed, I did this about an hour ago, there was 14,504 confirmed cases in the state of Florida. I'm gonna go to a nice little website that I found here, so just give me 1 second. All right. So this is actually a website from the Florida Department of Health, which I thought was very interesting because you can go to this website. I don't know why it's so small. Here we go. So it'll give you, so as I said, the current, an hour ago we had 14,504 cases. Now we currently have 14,747 cases. So you can see how that number is growing. One of the cool things about this website though is you can actually go in and pick your zip code and see how many cases are in your area. So for me, I live in 33062. So if you click on that, It's going to bring up the area where you live, and it's going to tell you how many cases are in your area. So currently in my neighborhood, there's 11 cases. If we go to the zip code for the office, currently there's 35 cases, okay? And it'll tell you the cities, you know, in that area that is, you know, covered. So currently, again, out of those 14,747 cases, we have 296 deaths in the state of Florida, all right? Compared to some of the other areas, this is another great website that I found. You can see in the United States, compared to other countries, we do have 394,000 cases, but we have a total of 12,000 deaths. So if you look at some of these other countries, the nice thing to know is in the United States, I feel like we're doing a fairly decent job, because the case numbers versus the death numbers are a lot higher when you look at the ratios and percentages. So I feel like we're doing something right. All right, so let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, and an article released today, this was in USA Today. This is mainly This is mainly talking about what's going on in New York City directly, but I thought this information was kind of useful, so I was going to share it with you guys. In New York City, 86% of the deaths from COVID-19 were individuals with underlying medical issues. That's pretty high to know that a typically normal person shouldn't have a significant, you know, issue. The most significant underlying issue found was hypertension, which is high blood pressure. 55% of the deaths were related to that. And diabetes was the second, with 37% of the deaths. Other underlying issues included kidney disease, hyperlipidemia, coronary artery disease, and dementia. So I thought that information was really nice to know, because they really aren't reporting a lot, and especially in the state of Florida, to say, okay, here's how many people died, but we don't know what underlying conditions they had, how old were they, you know, any of that information. So it was nice to see this in the New York information coming back from us. Also, 63% of the deaths in New York City, the individuals were 70 years of age or older, and only 7% of the deaths were individuals 49 years of age or younger. And then the deaths were higher in men. Wasn't a significant amount, but it was higher in men. Okay. How coronavirus works. I just wanted to kind of briefly go over how the coronavirus works. Obviously, we know it's contact directly from person to person or indirectly from touch. Okay, once the virus enters your body through the eyes, nose, or mouth, it can take anywhere from 2 to 14 days for symptoms to start. In some cases, you get no symptoms, you're asymptomatic. But if you do get symptoms, initially they're going to appear as a dry cough, a fever, shortness of breath, as the virus usually takes up shop in the upper respiratory system. So that's why we're getting mainly things in the throat and above. As the virus progresses, if it progresses, it doesn't always in everybody, but if it does and it goes into your chest or lower respiratory system, that's when we'll start having difficulty breathing, bronchitis, and pneumonia. Obviously, the pneumonia being the more serious part of that, and then eventually leading to ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is very rare, but that is eventually what the people end up dying from. All right, so just to let you guys know, from our standpoint here at the office, we are open. The governor of the state of Florida has allowed us to be open. We are considered essential service as a chiropractor in his order 2091. So here at Sands Chiropractic Clinic, we have a whole new office protocol. Some of the stuff, obviously, cleanliness, we've always been really good. All of you guys know who come in here, we have always been something that we take pride in is keeping our treatment rooms clean. However, we have really upped it now since all of this. Every inch of the treatment tables gets wiped down. Everything that a patient would come in contact is wiped down in the room. Also in the front office, we're no longer having to sign in. We're going to check in as you come in. The protocol is once you come in, you are going to be checked in, immediately put back into a room. Dr. Sands and I are both obviously diligently washing our hands constantly after every patient, as usual. But in addition, we both are wearing masks when we are in with the patient treatment rooms. We are asking our staff to wear a mask, especially when they are in close contact or close range, like when checking out, putting you guys in rooms, hooking you up on therapies, things like that. We are allowing patients to use masks. They can come in with gloves, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Just know that we are not requiring you to do that, but you are more than welcome to wear a mask, gloves, whatever makes you feel more comfortable to come into our office to get treated. Currently, we are not accepting walk-ins, okay, because we are trying to limit the amount of people that are in the office. We're doing a more block schedule. It's not going to be 4 or 5 people waiting in the waiting room. We're trying not to have anybody waiting in our front lobby, and if so, it's 1 person. If it gets more than that, we're sending people back to their cars and we will come and get you, all right? Our idea is to check you in, directly go to treatment. We treat you, we check you out as quickly as possible, and you leave. We just want to also let you guys know that we are offering Apple Pay and contactless enabled cards, so that way you don't have to touch or sign anything. Just take your card out, tap it on our device, pay, and go, just, you know, for your convenience. All right. And we're currently, for every patient that comes in, we're giving you a complimentary 1-week supply of some immune boosting supplements. Okay, this is just something we feel we should do to help keep everybody, you know, a little bit better immune system, and, you know, just nice little treat, something that we can do for the patients. So now for scheduling, in order to make an appointment, you will need to be able to answer the following questions to best of your knowledge. All right, so I'm going to go over the 4 questions. A lot of our patients that are probably on this chat have already been asked these questions, but just know, for anybody, if you are going to be coming in, you need to be able to answer these questions. If you answer yes to the above questions, then they'll be, what we're suggesting is that you either stay home or self-quarantine for 14 days. So the questions are, have you traveled outside of the United States or to any area with the ongoing spread of COVID-19 in the past 2 weeks? And the main places we're worried about are Louisiana, New York City, places where COVID is very, very rapidly growing. Question number 2 is, are you currently experiencing fever, cough, or shortness of breath? Question number 3 is, have you been exposed to anybody with COVID-19? And question number 4 is, do you or someone you are in direct contact with have a compromised immune system? And the reason why we ask this question is because obviously we are trying to screen everybody here, but we don't want you to then now bring home something to somebody that you maybe live with that has a compromised immune system. So that question, obviously we'll have a little bit of leeway, but we just want to make sure we're giving you guys all the information we can before you decide to make an appointment. And now it's Dr. Sands' turn. So let me stop the share and we'll go back to Dr. Sands. So it's all you.
All right. So now I share screen. See here and share. Okay. So can everybody see me right now? We're good? Okay. So now it's my turn, and let's get started on what we're going to do to protect your immune system and to make you guys as strong as you possibly can. And it all starts off with, how much do you really love your body? So are you truly willing to give your body what it needs to defend itself? It's going to take a little bit of discipline to follow what I'm advising to you. Next, or are you creating the perfect environment within your body right now for the illness to thrive? So very important questions here. Keeping your body's natural guard up is the key to survival and longevity. I have been doing this for quite a while, and you never can let your body's guard down. You never know. And right now, this COVID-19 has got all of our attention. But after COVID-19, it still doesn't mean you can just relax and think the party's over, because there'll be something else to take its place. You're still going to be susceptible to the flu and a lot of other things. And as Dr. Kim just brought out, which an outstanding job, by the way, Dr. Kim, thank you. As Dr. Kim just brought out, the more underlying conditions you have, the more susceptible you are to succumbing to this disease. So the idea is to have no other conditions at all. And if following the advice that things we're giving you is certainly going to help with all those conditions as well. Lastly, idleness and complacency will only lead to health vulnerability. You cannot, take your health for granted. It's something you have to practice every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. It doesn't matter if it's your birthday, whatever, you still have to practice good health, because if you become idle and complacent on it, it's going to lead to problems. So it's something that requires discipline, but it's something we can definitely work with and certainly help you with. So how do you get an infection? This slide was provided to me by Dr. Mladenoff, which is a very good friend of mine, very knowledgeable guy, and one of the top chiropractors in our field. It all starts first with a compromised immune system. So compromised immune system can come from many things. It can come from not taking care of yourself properly, poor diet and so forth. Maybe you've had a prior illness. Maybe you've had, like a chemo problem or a cancer problem. But something has compromised your immune system to make it weaker than it should be. Next, you have to have a suitable environment. And we're talking about both outside the body and inside your body. So an outside of the body situation would be like if you're working in an environment that's not very healthy, for instance, indoors too much, not getting outside enough, working in fluorescent lighting or something where it's, dusty and dirty and whatever, not a very clean environment, or certainly not something that's going to do you any favors. Then you can have an environment inside your body. And if you have an environment inside your body, then inside your body, that means a virus is going to like to come there and visit and hang out and live. So the idea is to create an inhospitable environment inside your body for viruses and bad bacteria and so forth to take up. Next, you have to be exposed to the infectious organism. So this is kind of hard to avoid. We all have to go out and mingle, and of course, right now we've been shut down from all that. But when this comes to an end, we're still going to be wanting to go out and go to restaurants and movies and theaters and so forth. And so you're going to be around other sick people. So from now, at this point forward, you need to really work on getting your immune system built up so that something like this, in case it comes along again, you're not going to be susceptible or vulnerable to it. Next, you can either be born with a weak immune system, or you can be born with a strong immune system. If you know that you have a weak immune system and you seem to get everything that comes, down around the corner, then you need to pay much more attention to the things we're going to talk about tonight to get yourself in better shape. And lastly, of course, we have stress. Stress is a major factor when it comes to weakening your immune system. Right now, we have a lot of stress going on. Life as we know it is vanishing before our eyes. We're all experiencing, quite a bit of grief right now because, things that we used to go and love and do and have been taken away from us. Some of us can't, see our loved ones, and it's been very stressful for a lot of us. So we really can't do a lot about the stress right now. That being said, we really need to pay attention to the other things and make sure that we can minimize a lot of the other things going on in our life to try to get ourselves as healthy as we can, which we're going to talk about here really quickly. So this is not the way to rebuild your immune system. So right now, a lot of you have been, confined to Netflix and sitting home and watching TV and eating popcorn, eating potato chips. And if you're on your third bag of popcorn today, that's probably not a good thing, not a good way to help your immune system. So getting outside and moving around is certainly going to be some things we're going to talk about tonight. So what I like, when I talk about immunity, I talk about the Petri dish effect. And this is a really important thing. I think it really sums things up really, really easily for a lot of us here. Most of the older people in the audience tonight will remember we had to do a Petri dish experiment in high school where you had 2 Petri dishes. And one of the Petri dishes, you added some sugar to it. You put a cover on it, and you put it in the closet. And the other one, you left the lid off of it, and you added some salt on it, and you put it outside where it got sunlight. And you let it sit for several days, and you went back and looked. So the one in the closet looks like the one on the bottom. It had a lot of sugar, it had no oxygen, and it was deprived of sun, versus the one on the top, which had salt, a lot of oxygen and sunlight and plenty of air, and nothing grew in it at all. So what this tells us is that the more alkaline you can keep your body, the more oxygen you keep your body, and the less sugar you put in your body, the healthier you're going to be. And I like to think of our bodies as a petri dish. Somebody that gets sick all the time, their body is a perfect environment for disease and illness to grow. Versus somebody that never gets sick, a virus or bacteria might enter, but it's wiped out right away because the person's petri dish or their body is not hospitable to it, and it can't survive and can't thrive in a body that's super healthy. This is why some people succumb and others don't. So from here, we're going to give it back to Dr. Kim, because the next slide deals with sugar, which is my number one thing I don't like to talk about. I get angry when I talk about sugar. So we're going to turn it over to Kim now, and she's going to tell you how much I don't like sugar. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
All right, guys, hold on one sec. Dr. Sands, can you not stop sharing your screen, please? Oh, and can you really quick, before you unmute, can you just talk about what it means to be alkaline?
Yes.
Like what the word alkaline means.
Can you still hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, alkaline is like, basically there's a pH in your body, and your pH is normally 7. So it can go all the way to like 8 to 10. So if your pH is higher than 7, that means you're alkaline. If your pH is less than 7, that means you're acidic. So think about the desert. The desert is a very alkaline environment. Nothing really grows out there except cactus and very tough things, versus something that's not the desert, like a lush rainforest where everything grows. So an alkaline environment would be the desert, and a very acidic environment would be like the rainforest where everything flourishes and grows. And that's what you don't want. You don't want to invite all these crazy things into your body.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen now.
And we're going to talk about how you get alkaline very quickly.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. So Dr. Sands' favorite topic, he loves sugar. Just kidding. All right, so basically sugar, as Dr. Sands says, is the root of all evil. So we have to eliminate it at all costs. So reasons why we don't like sugar: number one, it's incredibly inflammatory for your body. It creates a disease favorable environment. It weakens your immune system. All right, obviously too much sugar, eventually you're going to have things like diabetes and heart disease. Because of the inflammation, it causes your body to be in more pain. All right, and a lot of those individuals that have chronic pain, like fibromyalgia, things like that, typically have high sugar, high carb diets. It promotes a lazy body and it increases the number of fat and mucus cells. So a lot of times people think because they're overweight, it's because of all the high fat things they eat, but it's actually more related to the amount of carbohydrates and sugar you take in. All right, so this is why we don't like sugar. What we suggest is more of a keto type diet. So where you're eating mainly protein and vegetables. You can have a little bit of fruit, but restricting your sugar to about 20 grams and your carbs to around 60 grams or less. Okay, what that does is allows your body to burn fat for energy versus sugar. You're going to have a lot less inflammation and a lot clearer brain power. All right. So, obviously sugar foods, simple carbs, these are the kind of things we want to avoid. So right now, everybody's all in their house. They're wanting to have comfort food because they're stressed out. So macaroni and cheese, fried chicken, all that fun stuff. That's the kind of stuff we want to try and stay away from. All right. Pastries, donuts, bread, crackers, candy, extra sweet fruits like pineapples, melons, and fruit cups, especially things that are fruit cups are, processed in the extra juice and the corn syrup. We got to stay away from things like that. Fruit juices, especially commercial fruit juices, they're loaded with extra added sugars. If you're doing your own juice every now and then, that's fine. Fruit smoothies, again, loaded up with sugar. Fruit juice. Fruit is okay, but fruit is candy. Essentially, it should be taken in moderation. 1 or 2 pieces a day isn't going to be the end of the world, but if you're eating huge bowls of fruit all day thinking you're doing the right thing, there's a lot of hidden sugar in there that people don't realize. So, and then added with whatever other sugars you take in, that's when we start to get some issues.
Very good.
That's all I'm supposed to talk about for right now, right?
That's it. That's perfect. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. I'm going to unshare my screen here, so just give me a sec.
Okay. And back to here. There we go. Okay, good. All right, so now we are, what's going on here? Do you have to, let's see here. Having a little, oh, there we go. Okay. Got it. Okay, so got that and that. Okay, okay. So now we're talking about alkalinity again. So this is just a quick example here that we talked about earlier on the alkalinity. So you can see what happens if you go less than pH, you have sickness. If you go more than 7 pH, you're going to have health. So real quickly, acidic foods are some of the food and drinks are going to cause that. Negative emotions, stress can all lead to a lower pH. Alkaline water, eating the right foods, which we're going to go over here very shortly. Positive emotions, healthy activity will increase your alkalinity. So very important. Alkalinity, pH is everything. A lot of cool things we're going to talk about related to your pH here coming up. So keep your body alkaline. Very, very important. Your body pH should equal 7, between 7 and 8. 7.5 is ideal. Bad bacteria, viruses, and other diseases cannot survive in an alkaline body. So that's very, very important to do this. Avoid acidic foods. I'm going to give you, the next slide is going to give you a list that you want to take a picture of, or I'll give you a link to. And by the way, you can email us with any of the questions. We'll send slides to you, and whatever information you want, we will email you to this after the presentation. So your acidic foods, your typical sodas, fried fast foods, most grains, ice cream, milk, sugar, and sweets. Alkaline foods, broccoli, spinach, kale, beets, carrots, apples, oranges, watermelon, bananas. One thing you can do every single day is add some fresh lemon juice to your water. You can also add a little bit of baking soda or some Celtic sea salt to your water as well, just to give you some alkalinity. Very important, something I do every day is add at least a half a lemon of juice, half a lemon of fresh lemon in my water every day. And this time of year, when we're worried about, of course, the virus, I'll add a little dash of sea salt as well, just to keep my alkalinity as high as I possibly can. This is a food chart. This is one I found online. Very cool chart here, and hope you can see this very well. And I looked online. You can just maybe take a picture of this and find the same one online. But it's got all your foods. So if your pH range from 3 to 10. So your high alkalized foods, if you see right there, are alkaline water, raw spinach, raw broccoli, artichokes, raw asparagus. The more raw foods, the better off you are, because raw foods also have a lot more oxygen content as well. Look across there, you can get, continues to go on. Look at page number 9, avocados, green tea. Something I have every day is green tea in the morning. Of course, I have no sugar in my green tea. And you don't put lemon in your green tea, because adding lemon to your green tea will reduce some of the antioxidant content of the green tea. But just go along there on the bottom, look at pH number 3 on the very bottom. So some of the things you want to stay away from there are soy sauce, beef, veal, pork, pickles, and so forth. So look also there on the bottom where stress, worry, and lack of sleep also reduces your pH. So again, we're stressed out right now. We got some worry going on, lack of sleep. So it's important to get those things under control. But again, this is all the more reason to be eating as many of the high alkaline foods as you possibly can right now. Even if you do, a lot of times it's not enough. So by adding the lemon juice and a little bit of salt and the baking soda to your water, it's certainly going to help get that pH a lot higher. You can also get some pH strips, and you can measure your pH with the strip so that you can make sure that it's where it needs to be. Tap water is interestingly enough, if you read the middle slide there, tap water tends to be higher than most bottled water. If you're buying the alkaline bottled water, most of the time, by the time you get it back to your house and it's been sitting on the shelf for months, it's not as alkaline as it was that it claimed to be on the bottle. At the office, we actually have a water hydrogenator that hydrogenates our water, ionizes our water, so it's super high pH, and that's what we kind of live on there. But again, get your alkaline food charts. Start following this. This is a very good one right here. Eat as many alkaline foods as you can, and eliminate any of those foods that are on the lower pH list. You can have turkey, that's fine, but just try to stay away from some of those lower ones. And if you eat one of those foods, you need to eat 3 or 4 of the other foods to make up the difference. So the next thing we're going to talk about is increasing your tissue oxygenation, lung capacity. This disease, this virus, is the hardest on those with diabetes and chronic respiratory issues. It's a respiratory problem. Most of us breathe very shallowly. We rarely use our full lung capacity. And increasing your lung capacity is so critical. I don't care how old you are, we can all do this every single day. It's very easy to accomplish. You simply add a brief 20 to 30 second high intensity workout or burst to your current workout regimen. Even if you're only capable of walking, say 20 minutes, you can take a little bit of that time and walk as fast as you can for 20 to 30 seconds. Let yourself recover and then walk again as fast as you can for 20 to 30 seconds. If you're riding an exercise bike, do the same thing. If you're riding a cardio strider or an elliptical machine, the same thing. Go at a moderate pace and then bump yourself up that 30 to 20 to 30 second burst to get your lung capacity up where it needs to be, and it'll help increase your tissue oxygenation as well. Deep inhalation, something I practice every day. Fully inhale through your pursed lips, act like you're sucking air through a straw. You're going to fill up your lungs, and it will take, if you do this properly, it takes a full minute to breathe in that air. So you're literally sucking air in through your lungs slowly. And when you get to the top of that portion, then you're going to hold for a second or two, and then you're going to slowly exhale. So a full deep breath is very important to get the lung capacity up. Like I said, so many of us only use 20 to 30% the most of our lung capacity. And the rest of that lung tissue starts becoming, turns into scar tissue and becomes a perfect haven for disease and things to take over. So if this virus hits you and you only have 20% of your lung capacity, you're not going to last long at all. So keeping that lung capacity up is critically important. There is absolutely no future in shallow breathing. I can tell you that for sure. Reduce inflammation. We talked about how bad sugar is. Inflammation is pretty much the byproduct of sugar. It's associated with every major chronic disease that you have. And how many times have we heard it said in the past few weeks here that people with chronic health conditions are the most susceptible to this disease? So reducing inflammation is absolutely critical right now to keeping yourself very healthy and building up your immune system. The worst offenders are grain products. Pretty much everything any type of grain that you eat, and it's bread, cereal, pasta, rice, muffins, wraps, waffles, pancakes, pizza crust, corn products. I'm probably destroying a lot of y'all's dinner now if you were eating or have you already not eating, but we're probably not making a lot of friends right now with that. But just realize that grain products turn into sugar almost immediately. And again, sugar is a problem. Sugar produces fat cells. It produces a mucus-like substance that viruses love to grow in. Another thing sugar does, or grains do, is they cause pain. And my saying is no grain, no pain. Most of you have my booklet. Let me have my booklet here. So this is a book that we have in the office. This is our 4th edition of it, filled with the vital information in here. Tells you how to eat properly. There's no better time than to start following my guidelines in here. Even if you can't follow everything 100%, you can still, try to pay attention to the things you're not supposed to eat in here and give yourself a really good fighting chance. So instead of flour, you can use almond, cassava, or coconut flour. Instead of grain flour, you can use almond, cassava, or coconut. It's really not bad. We've learned to cook with almond flour. It tastes, delicious. It's not bad at all. So I encourage you to do that. And a lot of you are hung up on being gluten-free. The problem with gluten-free is it still contains some grains. They've learned how to manipulate these grains now to make them where it still contains a lot of grains, but it says gluten-free. And so if a cookie's gluten-free, it's still a cookie. It still contains sugar. So try not to fall into the gluten trap. You still want to be grain-free as much as possible. Okay? So highly processed foods, same situation here. You kind of know what you're not supposed to eat. If you're thriving on the picture here, not a good time. I know a lot of you are house confined and you want to go out to eat and you want to get some takeout food. One cool thing we're hearing is we have a lot of people now that are cooking their own meals. People are losing weight. They feel like they're eating better because they're learning how to cook again. So it's very important. When I think of food, all I think about is it's fuel for my body. So eating, that's what it should be. Whatever you put in your mouth, you should ask yourself the question is, how is this going to help my body? Is it going to help me or is it going to hurt me? So all food is fuel. So if you want a high-powered body, you've got to give it high-powered fuel. You give it poor fuel, you're going to have poor performance. Once you get yourself in really good physical condition and healthy condition, I should say, you'll know when you eat something bad because you'll feel it almost immediately. You'll feel horrible and you'll say, what did I do? And you'll be able to trace it right back. If you're eating poorly all the time, you really never know what it's like to feel excellent. So try eating properly. It's certainly going to make a big difference for us here. So no milk and dairy. Again, probably making some, causing some problems here with dinner. But milk is designed for one thing. It's designed for taking a small calf and turning it into a 1,000-pound cow in less than a year. So that's really all it's good for. It's linked with a lot of allergies, linked to diabetes and cancer, especially in women. The worst is ice cream, of course, skim milk, low-fat milk, artificial creamers. There's some milks you can drink out there, the A2 milks, or you can have a little bit of those. But when I say a little bit, I'm talking about like half a cup, a couple times a week. So don't, the milk is something we really want to eliminate. Processed cheeses and cheese food is also no good. You can use almond milk, rice milk, coconut milk. Just be careful to look at the sugar content, because some of those milks, they add a lot of sugar to them to make them, where they taste a lot better. So these are some of your best immune building foods. We want to, again, concentrate on foods with high alkalinity, high oxygen content, low sugar, and low inflammation. So there's all your vegetables. You can take a picture of this slide. We talked about the alkalinity slide and the with the food charts and so forth. Follow those. The good news is you can have a lot of fats. You can have olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, and you can have pasture-raised or grass-fed butter. As Dr. Kim alluded to earlier, fat doesn't make you fat. I eat a lot of fat, and you can see how fat I am. So don't be worried about the fat. Be worried about the sugar. Sugar is what causes all the problems. Nuts, some of the best nuts are almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and Brazil nuts. Stay away from peanuts. Peanuts are loaded with allergies. And cashews can be really problematic for people with chronic arthritic conditions. Again, we want to minimize the allergies here as well, because we only want the body to fight one thing. We only want the body to fight immunity, problems with viruses and bacteria. We don't want to have to fight it, have it fighting pain. We don't want to have to fight allergies. We don't want to have to fighting other health conditions. One thing at a time it can handle very well. Other things are good. Whey protein works very well. Real salt, critically important to use salt. Some of you have been told not to use salt. It's not the right thing. Check if you've been told to use salt, question your medical doctor and find out exactly why. Some of the recommendations to not use salt goes way back when they thought salt was a problem. They've learned now that it's not the salt, it was the sugar that was causing so much of these problems. So adding salt will solve a ton of problems. It'll make your body alkaline and certainly help you out with a lot of other issues. A lot of people with diabetes and blood pressure issues, adding salt sometimes solves those, can certainly help minimize those symptoms with those people. Meat and eggs, they should all be grass-fed, pasture-raised, cage-free, hormone-free, pasture-raised, and so forth. Cold water fish is good. You can have salmon. Be careful of some of the things like swordfish and tuna that are high in mercury. Beverages, green tea. We talked about how important green tea was for the alkalizing effect, also for the antioxidant effect. Ginger tea is very good for inflammation. And remember to add lemon to your water every day. So let's talk a little bit about exercise now. You see I've got the sun down there on the bottom right, if you can see the little sun. Sun is it's one of the best healing things that we have, and it's free. It certainly helps us in so many different ways. Vitamin D level is critically important with that. So don't be afraid of the sun. If you exercise outside, it's even more important. So exercise equals stress, and stress equals cortisol. A lot of people, especially right now, we're seeing some people that are over-exercising because they have so much time on their hand. So over-exercising can be as bad as not exercising. One of the reasons this happens is because when you over-exercise, you build up lactic acid. You start having a soreness in your muscles. So when that lactic acid builds up, what do you think it's doing to your body? It's making you more acidic. So the more acidic you become, the more susceptible you are to illness. So again, over-exercising can be a problem. One trick that the triathletes use is they drink baking soda after they exercise significantly to help reduce that effect of the lactic acid and takes away a lot of the soreness. So that's something you can do if you're an exercise fiend, exercise junkie, and you have to work out hard. You need to increase your alkalinity with the salt and the baking soda and so forth. Now, a quick word about baking soda is you want to not use the Arm & Hammer variety. You want to use the one from Whole Foods, because it doesn't contain the aluminum that the Arm & Hammer does. So inactivity is also a real problem. Being inactive is, it can lead to serious health vulnerability. Health equals motion, and motion equals health. It's something you have to do. You have to find a proper balance. So, you know, what I do is exercise every morning. I do a 10-minute exercise every morning, and I'll go right here. Everybody can afford 15 to 20 minutes 3 or 4 times a week. You don't have to do a lot of stuff. You can do anything you're capable of. Just make sure you do something to get your heart rate up and to make sure you're moving and moving around. Instead of doing a 2-hour workout, you can do maybe 3 10-minute workouts or 3 4-minute workouts, whatever you want to do to try to increase your activity level. It can be push-ups, pull-ups, sprints, elliptical, stair climbing, stairmaster, whatever you feel like you can do. Just get outside and do it. Try to get a little sun. You can hide your face, but get some sun on your bare skin at least 15 or 20 minutes a day. If you're really susceptible to the sun, then go out in the early morning or late afternoon. A 15-minute early morning brisk walk will do wonders for your body and your soul, and certainly help relieve some of your stress. So exercise, don't exercise, but make sure you're doing something every single day. Keep yourself moving. So these are the 6 most important supplements that I recommend taking. You'll notice really quickly on here that there's no multivitamin. I'm not a big fan of multivitamins. I think you're better off focusing on these 6 supplements right now. Now, vitamin C is not one of my top one we recommend all the time, but we're recommending it right now for everybody because of the virus situation. But 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C, the extra type is best. Be leery of the chewable vitamin C and also the liquid vitamin C because a lot of times it contains the sugar. So be careful with that. Prebiotics and probiotics, very, very important. It's essential to have the right bacteria in your body. Our body contains more bacteria than it does actually cells. So if we have good, strong bacteria, we can ward off a lot of illnesses. If we have weak bacteria, the virus can takes control of them very easily. So a good probiotic is really critical. Vitamin D3, also very critically important. Vitamin D is the most deficient vitamin here in the United States. There's more people deficient of vitamin D than anything else. I think I read somewhere 50% or more of the population is deficient in vitamin D. And here in Florida, we have no excuse for that. We can get out and get a little sun on our skin, which certainly helps elevate those levels. But even then, you should still supplement every day with 5,000 milligrams at least. B complex, critically important. It needs to have methylfolate, which is 5-MTHF. Methylfolate is critical to produce hormones for your body. Also helps stabilize your blood sugar. Can be super helpful with anybody with diabetes. And again, that's what we want to do is minimize the people with diabetes for this particular illness. Before you go to bed, zinc, 50 milligrams every night. These are something that we do every single night without fail. Magnesium citrate is one of my most common magnesium that I recommend, 200 to 400 milligrams before you go to bed. The zinc is critically important for your immune system, and the magnesium not only will it help you sleep better, but it's involved in at least 300 metabolic activities with your body. It's super good for fighting inflammation. It'll help reduce leg cramps and everything else. While I'm talking about leg cramps, a lot of you, adding salt or some baking soda to your water, you can minimize your leg cramps. Leg cramps a lot of times are because your body's trying to balance its pH. And when it does that, it yanks calcium out of your bones to try to make it more alkaline. So when the calcium starts leaving your bones, the muscles start to cramp up in your legs. A lot of times, just by increasing that alkalinity, you'll reduce those leg cramps as well. All right, so now I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Kim, who's going to talk about some of the other things we do in our office to, for immune building supplements here at the office. I'll stop share. And there you go, Dr. Kim.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to also talk about a few other immune supplements and natural remedies. These are some ones that patients ask about, as we don't sell any of these in our office. But this is some stuff that you can get over the counter at the drugstore, at Publix, CVS, all of those fun places, that worst case scenario will help you. All right. Coldies, zinc lozenges, they work great, but just be careful because a lot of these things that I'm going to mention do have a pretty high sugar content. So if you are going to use them, limited so that you don't overdo it on the sugar. Emergency, again, another product really high in vitamin C, but again, it's a powder that you put into liquid that is very sugary. Alka-Seltzer Plus, this one's a good one because it does have that alkalizing effect. So that is something that you can get at the store. Echinacea and or Golden Seal products, again, pretty good stuff. Airborne has some of the good nutrients like vitamin C, E, A, zinc, and magnesium. And again, commonly found at CVS, Publix, all those great places. A couple things here on the bottom are products that Dr. Sands and I both take when we aren't feeling well, which isn't very often, but every now and then, if some of our employees are sick or a lot of patients are coming in sick, this is some of the things that we do to boost our immune system. And those three things there on the bottom, Congoplex, Allerplex, and Antranex, are from a company standard process that we use. And it is a very potent immune boosting supplements, that we do take. And a lot of times when we take these things, we don't have any problems. We don't get sick. So we always say it's because of that. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with our diet and our lifestyles, but it is something that we feel like helps us stay strong during, the flu seasons and cold seasons. All right. And the last thing I'm going to talk about with you guys is self-lymphatic drainage. So if you do start to feel sick, regardless of what kind of sickness you feel like you might be getting, this is a good thing to do. So I normally tell people, and Dr. Sands and I have probably done this on multiple patients throughout the years that have come in with sinus infections, sore throats, runny noses and coughs, is trying to drain those lymph nodes out, because as you push all of those toxins down into the rest of the lymphatic system, your body can cycle everything out and get rid of the junk, and that way allow your body to keep draining and purging and getting rid of that's how your immune system works. So I'll just give you guys a quick demo on how to do that. So you normally will turn your head. I normally use my thumb when I'm doing this to myself, and I get right behind my ear where you can kind of feel the little lymph bubble, and you push it down the throat into the chest. And you'll do this on both sides, and you'll do this repeatedly a couple times. You don't need to use a ton of pressure, but just enough where you kind of feel when you are sick and your lymph nodes are inflamed, it is going to be a little sore and a little, not painful, but just sore and tender to do that. But just know that repeatedly doing this daily until your symptoms clear, a lot of times you'll start to notice. I know for me, if I do have a runny nose or something like that after I drain, I seem to clear a lot better, and I'm a little bit more open, better breathing for a little bit. So that's just something that we wanted to share with you guys, and in case you guys get sick or have any issues in the near future. All right, I believe that is it for me. So it's going to be Dr. Sands' turn to wrap it up here.
Thank you, Dr.
All right.
So I go to here and here. Okay, very good, Dr. Kim. So let's wrap this up here. Click on that. Here we go. Okay. So let's wrap this up. So those are the 4 steps I promised you we're going to give you guys right now, and hopefully you're going to be excited about these. So here we go. Number 1, you're going to stop the sugar. So that means starting tonight, no dessert after dinner tonight. That ice cream and things you were thinking about having, we're not going to do. So no ice cream, no milk or cookies tonight before you go to bed. No peanut butter and jelly sandwich, none of that stuff neither. Sorry about that, but this is where it all starts, people, right here. Number 2, start becoming alkaline. So instead of grabbing the milk and cookies, you can go get a glass of water right now. If you have a lemon, squeeze some lemon in there. Get you some salt. If you have Celtic sea salt, or if you have any kind of sea salt or Himalayan salt, whatever, put a couple of shakes in that just so you can taste a little bit of salt, and drink that down before bed. It'll stop some of the leg cramps you might be having as well. So you're doing yourself a favor. If you are having leg cramps, you can go ahead and put a little bit of baking soda in there. Even if you only have the Arm & Hammer, it's okay for tonight. Just replace it with the other baking soda as soon as you can. Number 3, stop the inflammation. So again, no more bread tonight. If you're getting ready to have rolls or pizza crust or something like that, you might want to put it aside and not have the pizza crust. Sorry, I know I'm making some real friends right now, but it's something you have to do. There's Italian people out there, the pasta is a tough one. So those are things you're gonna have to work around. You can probably buy gluten-free pasta, read the labels, make sure that things are again, not made with regular flour. You want the cassava flour, the almond flour, the coconut flour, things of that nature. it's not bad once you get used to it, people. It really is not at all. It's just something you have to try to do, and it requires some discipline, but once you do it, you're going to be happy in the end. And lastly, start improving your lung capacity and your tissue oxygen levels. So I don't want you to go on exercise right now, because exercising, this time of night will not let you sleep properly. We want everybody to sleep very well. But you can do the breathing exercises that we talked about. So start taking some nice deep breaths, get that lung capacity up. It'll certainly help your body relax. It'll increase the oxygenation to your brain and make you feel a whole lot better in the process. Also, back to number 3, I forgot to mention, but that means tomorrow morning for breakfast, no cereal, no bagels, things of that nature as well. No pancakes and waffles. So sorry about that, people, but again, this is just the way it is. Get used to it. It's only going to help you feel a whole lot better in the long run here. And then lastly, tomorrow, you can go out and start your vitamin regimen. Get what you can from Vitamin Shop or any of the health food stores, Whole Foods, whatever. If you have any questions on this stuff, call the office. We're here. We're not seeing a lot of patients right now because of this situation. So we can talk to you. We can answer any questions you might have. We do have some things here available. We don't have a whole lot of things because we're having a hard time getting things too, but we probably have what you need. So feel free to call us and ask us with any questions. Email with us any questions you have as well. So lastly, what does super health mean to me? This is how I am every single day, and I want it to be the same for you guys. So I feel like I have a bulletproof immune system. I have a disease-free body. I have, those that know me know that I have boundless and limitless energy, sometimes too much for my own good. I have no chronic pain. I have zero pain in my body at all. And I have a very efficient body. I've got excellent circulation, very good lung capacity, and a very high oxygen exchange ratio, meaning that I re-oxygenate my tissues super fast. So that's what super health means to me. Every one of you can have this same thing. I don't care how old you are, what kind of condition you are, you can absolutely improve your health right now. It all starts with you. And again, it starts with what we talked about earlier, is how much do you really love your body? And if you love your body enough to really do these steps and have the discipline to do what we talked about here tonight. It requires a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle and some total commitment, but you can make it happen. It's just up to you guys as well. Alrighty, that is pretty much it. We have some questions now to answer, I think, there, Scott.
Absolutely. First of all, you're getting some kudos. Great job. Stephen Finizio says, great job, Dr. Kim and Dr. Sands. Thank you for sharing. There was a question about the link to the map, and we did drop that in the chat box. So if you scroll up, you'll see the direct link to the Florida map that tracks the COVID cases there. Very interesting information. Did we get the question that came in by email, Dr. Sands, about intermittent fasting?
Yes, I did get that one, and okay. we can talk about that. So intermittent fasting is something that I do myself every day, and the best way to do intermittent fasting, it's very simple, is to skip breakfast. So you eat your meal. You want to go for like 14 hours approximately at least with no food in your body. So you have dinner, say 7 or 8 o'clock, whatever it is, and then you don't eat again until like 11 o'clock the next day. That gives you a good 13, 14 hours, 15 hours, whatever it is. Before you eat. You can go all the way through lunchtime if you like. Now, during this time, if you're having coffee with milk and sugar, that counts as a meal. So don't be having coffee with milk and sugar in it. I typically just have green tea. I will take, I might take a few vitamins in the morning. Otherwise, I don't really have anything to eat until like around 11 o'clock. And what I do at that point is having a shake. So intermittent fasting is certainly not a problem at this point at all. Fasting, on the other hand, is something we really don't want to do because that's going to add stress to the body. Right now, we don't want to add any more stress to the body than what it's currently under. Even though we might not feel stress, we're all grieving right now because of the lifestyle that we miss. So let's don't add any more stress to the body right now than we have to. Let's don't overdo anything. Don't over-exercise, don't overeat. Don't overwatch TV. Don't overwatch the news, especially because that seems to be your biggest stress right now. So fasting right now, I would not recommend. Intermittent fasting, absolutely a great idea.
Okay, very, very good, very good. Michael Mazria, I believe I'm saying that right. Thank you very much. Great info. Feel free to drop a question in the chat box, anyone at all, if you have questions. I don't think there are a lot of questions because you guys did such a thorough job. It was fantastic. That was great information. We will make the slides available. If you're registered, obviously you'll be getting an email with the replay and also any other additional supplementary information that the docs want to provide with that. We'll link to that in the email. So no need to worry about, did I miss anything? Some of you, if you came in late, we had an amazing show rate. A lot of people are still here at the bottom of the hour, or at the top of the next hour as we are. So any other questions? Is it okay to take magnesium citrate with gabapentin at bedtime? Linda asked.
Take them about an hour apart.
Take them about an hour apart at bedtime.
Yes.
Near bedtime. Okay. Very good. Very good. Does alcohol affect the immune system? Gerald asks.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. Now, of course, overindulging, in anything is going to be a problem. So certainly, a mild drink, 1 or 2 drinks here and there is not a problem, but overindulging is not a good idea right now at all.
Yeah, great answer. Well, Barbara says, can you give us a recipe for a shake to have in the morning since you took all our food away?
I can only tell you what I do, and many people have tried to mimic my recipe. I use the products that I have here in the office. It's basically a product called Nanogreens. Nanogreens is basically a combination of a bunch of vegetables all ground up, a lot of green vegetables all ground up. And then I combine that also with some omega powder, which is basically seaweed and some marine algae. Sounds delicious, right? And then I'll add some of our whey protein in there as well. And then I'll add additional greens, some spirulina greens, some kale greens, and so forth to make it nice and greeny. And then to make it a little bit more flavorful, I'll add like maybe half of a banana. Again, I don't want too much banana because I'm worried about the carbs. I'll put some coconut oil in there and some delicious beet juice to give it a nice red color. And that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's fantastic. I do have a question, and I do intermittent fasting as well. And so I've heard that the closer you get to bedtime to go heavier on carbs and lighter on protein. Do you have any theories around having a different ratio the closer you get to bedtime of carbs and protein? Or even fats and protein for that matter.
Yeah.
Even fats.
You want to balance them out. And Dr. Kim can probably better answer this question because she's in charge of our dietary program, which is the Ideal Protein program. So she's coaching people on this pretty much every day. So Dr. Kim, you can take that one.
I'll take that one. So Scott, the best thing obviously that we suggest is try not to eat anything 2 hours prior to bed. So if you normally go to bed at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock should be the last thing you put, in your system.
That's good.
If you are going to have a carb, we normally say eat your more complex carbohydrates in the evening versus your simple ones because the complex take a little bit longer for your body to break down. So, you're sleeping overnight, so you can digestively, it makes more sense if you have to. I always try to eat lean and green for dinner, meaning protein, vegetables, and I try not to have anything sugary or sweet, after dinner at all. But that's just me. But again, complex carbs would be a better choice if you are going to have a carb. So like a potato, a sweet potato, something like that, versus like fruit or cookie.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Okay, so similar question. Linda asked, how much whey protein would be okay to take per day for someone that's 120 pounds?
Okay, that's a great question. So we don't want to overdo it on the protein. You never really want to take in any more than around 15, maximum 20 grams of protein at a time, because too much protein is going to stress out your kidneys. So for whey protein, I would suggest around 10 to 15 grams, and really only once a day. You don't need a lot of protein. A lot of people say a 120-pound person will need like 120 grams of protein. That's way too much. Like 80 grams of protein is plenty. I think Dr. Kim would agree with me on that as well. So
typically half the body weight.
Yeah, half body weight. So 120 grams a person would be 60 grams of protein for the whole day, not all at once, obviously.
Okay, yeah, that's a great calculation. Easy. That's super easy. Somebody asked here. Let me pull it again. Okay, Stewart is 747. My vitamin D3 says 600 IU in milligrams. How many IU when it comes to D3?
Basically, you want for about 5,000. I believe they have made the IU and milligrams all the same now. I thought that was going to be one number where 600 IUs, that could mean 6,000. Are you familiar with that, Kim? I think that they have correlated that number to equal the same now. So 600 milligrams seems very, very low to me with vitamin D.
I believe it's higher. Let me just confirm that. Current recommendations are 400 to 800 international units per day. However, we suggest taking higher if you're deficient.
I would up that to quite a bit. It takes a lot of vitamin D, and really you have to vitamin D to get it properly. You need to take vitamin A and vitamin K with that as well. We actually use a product called ADK in our office. Most people that are deficient in vitamin D are also have problems with vitamin A and vitamin K. It's a breakdown in the system called the methylation system, where they don't produce vitamin D very well. So if you can't get out in the sun, you might want to update that 600 to probably at least 800 or even 1,000. It takes a lot to make a difference.
Gerald is cutting sugar intake, and his question is turbinado a good sugar substitute?
Dr. Kim, are you familiar with that?
Turbinado, that's a new one. Isn't that just regular sugar?
It is. It's sugar. I mean, it's basically unrefined sugar. I mean,
it's not a sugar substitute. It is sugar.
It is sugar, yeah.
So I normally suggest stevia if you're going to use a sugar substitute, because it is a natural versus like Splenda or Equal or Sweet and Low. All of those are poisons, so try to stay away from that. But, you know, if you can't use stevia, a lot of people don't like the way it tastes, and you do still need sweetener. I feel like you're better using sugar in its raw form as long as it's a limited amount. I mean, you have to remember in the presentation, we were allowing you to have 20 grams of sugar per day. So just know if you are using a little bit in your coffee in the morning or your tea, that's going towards that 20 grams per day.
That's correct, yeah. I tend to tell people to lose the sweet tooth altogether. There's studies that show even if you're using a like a sugar substitute, it still has the same effect. It still raises your glucose levels, and it's still causing problems. So lose the sweet tooth altogether. Most of you people are already sweet enough. You don't need any sugar at all.
Yeah, and I know when we reduced sugar intake, the natural sugars tasted sweeter over time. So our taste buds adapted. So for instance, whereas if you're gorging sweets every day and you eat a date, it doesn't taste as sweet. But if you're laying off sugar completely and then you go eat a date 2 weeks later, a date tastes incredibly sweet. And then some of the fruits, it's like, wow, they're sweeter than ever. So there is adaptation.
That is very true.
Now, the ester type C is new to Linda. She asked, so she has a liposomal vitamin C, and you're talking about an ester type. So what's the difference?
Liposomal is excellent. That liposomal is a better choice. Very good. Stay with the liposomal.
Okay, good. Excellent. All right, no new questions? Okay. This is a good question. If Arthur asks, if you're taking care of yourself at home with COVID-19, what should you be doing? So let me ask it this way. If one of you came down with COVID-19, which you're not because you're bulletproof, I mean, you're doing a lot of right things. But let's say that something happened and you were diagnosed with COVID-19 and you had some of those flu-like symptoms. What would you do that's different than what you've already shown us tonight, that in that case to maybe recover in your immune system or deal with the infection?
I would follow what I said tonight pretty much to the T. I would, move around. I would try to get myself moving. The last thing you do is be totally idle with this thing and let it creep up on you. Your body does what you tell it to do. If you tell your body to get better, it's going to get better. So by laying around and thinking this is it, it's going to be it. So by keeping yourself moving, eating properly, not eating, getting this thing, denying it any kind of fuel that it needs to thrive on, you want to not do that. So maintaining the alkalinity, don't give it the sugar, getting out in some sun, breathing in as much as you can, activity, break it up. All those things are so, so, so important. Dr. Kim and I, in the rare instance that we get ill, we keep moving. We don't succumb to it because we know that if we tell our body that, hey, the body says, listen, if this guy's not going to stop moving, I better find a way to fix myself really quick because, things are going to go bad. So by keeping yourself going, keeping yourself motivated, you're going to shrug it off a lot faster.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that does cover all the questions. This was fantastic. Great job tonight, both of you. Thank you for this valuable information. Dr. Tracy Sands, Dr. Kim Sands-Kahn, fantastic information. You're not going to get better information, guys, than you heard here tonight from these two docs that know you when you walk in the door, and they care about your health and actually apply that care on a regular basis. Lori says, excellent and very informative presentation. Thank you. And so, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys. We did record this, and so we'll be releasing this recording within the next day or so. We'll have that posted. It'll also be on the Facebook page for Sands Chiropractic. You'll be able to find it there very soon as well. And any supplemental materials that Dr. Sands wants to supply, it'll be in the email. So when you get this, I want to encourage you that if you see it on Facebook, that you hit the share button, tag your friends in the comments, those that need to hear this. If you get the email, feel free to forward it to anyone that you think will benefit from this information. Don't keep it to yourself. Everyone's looking for not only for better news, but they're looking for practical information that will raise the confidence that we can get through this and thrive on the other side and fight the fear that's out there. So any parting comments, either of you at all?
Just thank you everybody for listening.
Yep. Thank you everybody for sure. Thank you. I have the pleasure of working with my daughter every day, which is a fantastic thing. Thank you, Dr. Kim.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gerald says, great job. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for the thanks and letting the docs know. And when you come back into the office for your next treatment, let them know what this meant to you and what you were able to change and put into practice in your own lifestyle, and give them that feedback. Thanks, everybody. Have